Hello friends, welcome to Byju's. In today's session, we are going to discuss about green revolution and social change. Very, very important topic under rural and agrarian transformation in India. And this green revolution, you will come across green revolution in multiple other topics as well. And many times I've asked questions, so that is the reason it is very important. Generally, the economic impacts of green revolution is talked about. But in our topic, in our syllabus, they have explicitly mentioned about social change as well. So we look at the economic dimensions, we'll also look at the social impacts of green revolution. So in this session, the brief overview, what we're going to cover. First of all, we will be discussing what is green revolution, why we are bringing this green revolution, what was the intended purpose, what was the underlying philosophy of green revolution. Then we will be discussing about some of the key economic impacts. Then we'll be understanding what were the social impacts. And then we will end our discussion with some of the things that we have taken up post green revolution. So this is going to be the rough structure. This is the rough structure of things that we're going to cover in this particular session. So first thing, what do we mean by green revolution? What is our understanding of green revolution? See, when we say revolution, what is the meaning of revolution? Some rapid change we are trying to bring about. Don't think about revolution from the perspective of just Marx or from the perspective of geography. If you look at geography, revolution means something which is coming back to the same position. Earth revolves around the sun. We are coming back to the same point. Marx also talks about revolution. When Marx says about revolution, it is about massive change. And this kind of revolution, he is basically saying it will change overnight, maybe forces used here. But green revolution, here also, we are talking about change, we are talking about massive change, we are talking about rapid change, but it's kind of peaceful in nature. What were the key components of green revolution? Now, this particular term, green revolution, was first coined by an administrator, William Ward, and it actually refers to the usage of technology for improving agricultural production, for improving agricultural productivity. What kind of technology is being used here? Now, you are using high yield variety seeds, you are using chemical fertilizers, you are ensuring that there is proper irrigation, there is controlled irrigation, you are also using pesticides and insecticides, all those things which will protect the plants. You're also going for mechanized farming in green revolution. Now, see, what is happening here is the kind of seeds that you are using now, the high yield variety seeds. Now, the seeds are such that whatever nutrition is provided, all these nutrition will go to the fruit. Less number of leaves will be there. All the whatever nutrition has been provided, all these chemicals and all, whatever nutrients it is able to derive from the soil, all these things is actually going to the production of the final fruit, not the leaves. The number of leaves will be less. So you are using these kind of seeds, but now the kind of seeds that you have used, these are not the native seeds, so they will not be resistant to different kind of other issues in your locality. They're not the native seeds, so they will require constant support. For example, you have to provide these fertilizers. You have to protect them from other kind of pest attacks, insect attacks. So you have to provide them all these chemicals, pesticides, insecticides needs to be provided. And if you are taking all these fertilizers, that means how the plant will take fertilizer. The fertilizer will get dissolved in the water, and the plant is going to take those fertilizers. So you also have to ensure that there is constant irrigation. You are able to control the irrigation mechanisms. So that is the reason it was introduced in those areas which already had these kind of mechanisms. Generally, the irrigated areas were introducing. Now, which are the irrigated areas? Punjab, Haryana, Western UP. These are the places where we could introduce it. We could not introduce it in every other place. But when we say green revolution, it is not just about all this technology. It is about technology, but it also requires certain other things as well. For example, you have to provide credit. Institutional credit has to be provided. All these things that we're talking about, the fertilizers, the pesticides, etc., high variety seeds, they will not be cheap. They will be expensive. You will have to invest a good amount of money for obtaining all these things. So farmers will also require some credit. So you need to provide institutional credit. Institutional credit because the informal money lenders will charge you a very high rate of interest. So you might not get the benefits that you intended. You have to also ensure electrification. Other basic requisite infrastructure has to be there. Marketing facilities are very important. Price incentives are also very important. So you are going for green revolution. You are trying to improve the production. Now, if there is massive production, if there is bumper harvest, the prices will also crash. So you also need to have requisite infrastructure to take care of all these things. Now, what is the driving motivation? How did we come to know about green revolution, or what was the inspiration here? Now, this kind of technology, using technology for agriculture, was being used in some other places. In 1950s, 60s, other places also did some experiments, and there you found that the results were quite successful. For example, places like Mexico, Philippines, these are the places where we had seen these kind of interventions and where we had seen these kind of results. So inspiration for green revolution is coming from these places. And in case of India, it was the concerted effort of a couple of people: Norman Borlaug, M.S. Swaminathan, and C. Subramanian. Swaminathan, he was a technocrat here. C. Subramanian was the agriculture minister. Norman Borlaug, he is credited for these kind of interventions. So all these people played a very important role in introduction of green revolution to India. And when we say green revolution in India, it was basically initiated in specific regions: Punjab, Haryana, and these places. These are the places where you had irrigation facilities, controlled irrigation facilities. Primarily, they were the wheat growing or the rice growing areas. And one thing here, the two programs, two schemes. With these schemes, green revolution was started. The name of the schemes are Intensive Agriculture Area Program, Intensive Agriculture District Program. Now, this was initiated first. Certain areas were identified. These areas you will be putting all these concerted efforts to improve agriculture productivity. Later on, somewhere around 114 districts were identified, and it is in these districts intensive action was put into place. So first it was focusing on certain areas, then the focus was on certain districts, around 114 districts. So this is the meaning of green revolution: usage of technology in agriculture. Now, as I told you, the beginning itself, when we say revolution, revolution can have multiple meanings. One is you are just coming back to the same position. Sun is here, Earth revolves and comes back to the same position. Another way of revolution is drastic changes, rapid changes. Overnight changes are taking place. What Marx talked about, what Marx visualized, how from capitalism there will be revolution. In capitalist society, there will be revolution, and it will lead to formation of an advanced communist society. Now, this revolution that we are envisaging, the green revolution that we are envisaging, here what we are trying to do is we are using technology, we are using science technology, and you are bringing about rapid changes. But generally, whenever there is a massive rapid change, there is some sort of upheaval. There are some social costs involved as well because there is a lot of disorder. But here, the kind of revolution that we are bringing, the kind of change we are bringing, we are not trying to reduce these social costs. We don't want this social disorder to be there. So the social cost, which is generally associated with these massive upheavals, we're trying to reduce that. We feel that we should have these kind of changes in agriculture, but they should be peaceful in nature. We do not want massive unrest in the society. And we are assuming that whatever changes will take place in agriculture sector, whatever changes are taking place because of technology, they will trickle down to the bottom. Initially, maybe some large farmers are getting benefited, but over a period of time, we're assuming that each and everyone will get the benefits. It is going to trickle down. So, green revolution was supposed to be a peaceful transformation. It is not the kind of transformation which Marxists think, because Marx or Marxist thinkers envisage, and not involving blood and all these things. And the social cost because of the upheaval should be very, very minimal. And whatever benefits are there because of this change, because of the change we are trying to usher in with the help of technology, those changes will trickle down to the bottom. So this is what was the philosophy behind green revolution. This is what is the assumption behind green revolution. So what were the impacts of green revolution? So what we will do is first we look at the economic impacts, and then we will move towards the social impacts. So what are these economic impacts of green revolution? Now, previously, the kind of agriculture that we had, it was primarily a traditional kind of agriculture on the basis of patronage. Those kind of times were there. But now we are gradually changing our outlook, moving towards a modern, secular, profit-based agriculture. We're trying to modernize agriculture. Now the kind of agriculture that we are taking up, it is mainly catered towards making profits. A very important impact of green revolution was the increase in production. Not only production, productivity also increased. Now you are becoming self-sufficient. We do not have to depend on some other countries for our agricultural requirements. If you remember, at that point of time, we were dependent on US for our food grains. We had massive food shortage. PL 480 was the program under which we used to get those food grains. So now we are ourselves becoming self-sufficient. We are ensuring food security for our nation. And it is not that we are just becoming a food secure nation, not that we are just becoming self-sufficient. Rather, we are becoming a net exporter. From being a net importer of rice to becoming a net exporter of rice. That was the change. We were asking others for rice, now we are giving others rice. There was a massive agricultural growth as compared to what it was in the past. During the colonial period, the agricultural growth used to be less than 1%. But it was during this phase that we achieved 3 to 5% agricultural growth, which was quite a significant increase, 3-4 times increase as compared to the colonial period. There was increase in productivity as well. Rural areas, they are getting the benefits of green revolution. There is increase in rural affluence. People are becoming more affluent. Not just rural areas are getting impacted. Industrial growth is also there. Industries are getting benefited because industries also require different kind of agricultural inputs. So since agricultural production is increasing, so the industrial inputs, the input for the industries is also increasing. So industries are also getting benefited. Apart from that, if rural affluence is there, now there are people whose purchasing power is increasing. Now, if purchasing power increases, it is also a boost for the industry. That way also industry is getting benefited. Agricultural equipment manufacturing, it is also getting a boost. Under green revolution, there is mechanization of agriculture. So different kind of agricultural equipments are also required, which is now produced in the industry. Apart from that, this is also promoting scientific temper in agriculture. One of the fundamental duties that we have, that scientific temper is also part of those fundamental duties. And scientific temper had been lacking in the case of India. Now also you see scientific temper is not that great in the case of India. But green revolution is one of those programs, those policies, those schemes, which is actually boosting scientific temper. How science can be used to boost agricultural production productivity. If you remember, there have been statements in the past by some politicians, by some people, that if you are going for hydroelectric projects, the energy, the vitality that is there in the water gets lost. Now, that kind of mindset was there at that point of time. And in that period, you are using the technology to boost agriculture would have more massive changes. So scientific temper is also being cultivated at that point of time, not just cultivating high variety seeds. One image, this particular graph, I've taken it from IGNOU notes. It tells you a lot. The red line that you are seeing is basically the total production that we have. The blue line that you see is the area under production. Green is the yield. Now you can see how over a period of time these things are changing drastically. And these are the years. On the x-axis is the year 1950-51 to 2009-2010. And on the y-axis you have the area under cultivation. You also have the total production. You also have the yield. Look at the total production, how it has increased significantly over a period of time. The area under cultivation has also increased, but not at that fast rate. But production has drastically increased. And that is the reason we are becoming food secure, and that is the reason we are becoming self-sufficient when it comes to food grains. We are becoming a net exporter of rice from being a net importer of rice. Very important graph here. So this was about the economic impacts that green revolution had on our economy, on our agriculture. But we also need to understand what are the social impacts. They are very important, especially for our discipline. And the topic itself says green revolution and the social change. So now we will look at the social consequences, social impacts of green revolution. And we will look at these consequences along different dimensions. In exams, they can ask you the social changes, or they might ask you only one dimension as well. So we should be prepared for all these kind of scenarios. That is the reason we look at all the angles. The first thing, whether the benefits of green revolution was accrued to everyone, or only specific sections of society got benefited. Now, there have been different studies, and they find out that the benefits of green revolution did not reach everyone, or at least everyone was not equally benefited. Let us assume that green revolution will be a scale neutral technology. What do you mean by scale neutral? Scale neutral means that wherever you are in the hierarchy, whether you are a rich landowner, small landowner, marginal landowner, if it is scale neutral, if technology is scale neutral, that means everyone is going to get the benefits equally. But it was not the case. Those who were the big landowners, they got more benefits. Those who were at the bottom, they did not get those benefits. In some cases, they might have even lost out. They might not have even got the break even. So, how much amount of land holding you had, it played a very significant role. So, those who are getting the surplus, they're getting the benefits. Those who are having large amount of land, they're getting the benefits. Not everyone is getting equally benefited. The peasants are failing miserably. Large farmers, they're getting the benefits. And because larger farmers are getting the benefits, the poor farmers, they're not getting the benefit. It is leading to increasing inequalities. Sometimes it might so happen that the poorer peasants, now to use the benefits of green revolution, they might have taken a loan. Since they are not even getting break even, but they have to pay back that loan. So in that case, they will go for this distressed sale of lands. And it is the big, large landowners, farmers, they will be the ones who will be purchasing these lands. So it is leading to landlessness. It is also leading to increasing inequalities. Bhalla and Chadha, they had studied somewhere around 200 villages in Punjab and Haryana. And they observed that the productivity, the difference in productivity, it was as high as 200 times between the rich and the poor farmers. And the difference in income can be as high as 16 times between the rich and the poor farmers. This kind of extreme differences did exist. Another consequence was the displacement of the tenant cultivators. See, now because of green revolution, agriculture is becoming more remunerative, it's becoming more lucrative. So since agriculture can be now used for making money, many of these big landowners, they're not taking back their lands. They do not want their lands to be cultivated by some tenants because they themselves can make money out of it, and they can make money using different kind of technology now. You have modern machines now which can be used. So why do we need those tenants to cultivate here? You yourself can cultivate here. So because of the profitability of agriculture now, landowners now they're taking back their lands. So tenants are thrown out. The condition of those who are landless is even worse. And in fact, it was also observed that some of the small landowners in the non-green revolution areas, they are now migrating to the green revolution areas as laborers who will be working for these big landowners. That was also something which was observed. So migration is there. Society is also getting polarized. People who are in the middle, the tenants, they're losing out because the big landowners want to cultivate their own land. So some people are being evicted out. So the society is now getting polarized. And since these people, some people are evicted, now they are migrating to the cities in want of better opportunities. They do not have opportunities in the rural areas. And most of the times, it will be the males who are just migrating. The women, they are staying back. Because you don't know what kind of facilities will be there in urban areas, what kind of avenues, opportunities will be there in urban areas. And generally, in case of India, you have these larger households. The female will be taking care of the household. We have the pet in local setup. So it is the male who are now migrating out. So it is leading to a skewed sex ratio in the rural areas. That is also the case. Also, the sex ratio in the urban areas is also getting impacted. The women and children, they are left behind. Now, if women and children are left behind, other issues can also be there. There is now greater responsibility on the female. She might face different kind of physical stress as well as mental stress. In some areas, there is distress migration. People from places like Bihar, Eastern UP, they are now migrating to those areas where green revolution was successful so that they can work as landless laborers. Now, when you are migrating out of distress, you do not have land, you are migrated out of distress. In that case, there is dependence. You do not have any other source of income. You are dependent on someone else. Whenever there is dependence, it can lead to exploitation. So you are also observing that there is exploitation in these areas. What about the caste dimensions? What is happening here? Previously, Jajmani system was there in these rural areas. Jajmans and Kamins. Jajmans, they will be generally they will be the cultivated caste, the dominant caste. Kamins will provide some services. Jajmans will provide them the agricultural produce. But now, modern machinery has been introduced. Previously, Kamins and others used to provide some services. But now, those services of the Kamins is not required. The modern machinery can take care of that. So, this Jajmani system is also getting disintegrated. One of the factors, green revolution is also ensuring that Jajmani system breaks down. It is also leading to emergence of the dominant caste now. Since the entire rural traditional structure is breaking down, it is also leading to different kind of agrarian unrest. Dominant castes are now becoming a significant player now. All these kind of conflicts also you observe, and all these conflicts also you observe in these rural areas. So this is how the caste is getting impacted. The middle peasantry, it is now getting consolidated. The upper caste class, they are being replaced by the middle peasantry, or they are facing some sort of competition. What is happening to the institution of family? Previously, who was dominating the agriculture? Who in the family was dominating the agriculture? Generally, the older generations, they used to play a very important role in agriculture. But now, the authority is being passed to the younger generation. When you are introducing green revolution, other dimensions also you have to look into it. For example, you have to now procure different kind of modern technology. You have to acquire credit. You are now selling your products in the market. So there is greater integration in the market. And you also have to interact with the different bank officials and other officials. So all these things, the older generation might not be able to handle. It is a young generation which is trying to handle all these things, who has better skills or who can at least do these kind of interactions. So older generation is losing out on authority. Younger generation is becoming more predominant here. The skills that are required to handle the bank authorities, revenue officials, etc., might not be there with the older generation. There is a younger generation who has it. So in the family also, the authority structures are gradually changing. Now, what is the impact of green revolution on politics or on power structure? See, when I say politics, politics is nothing but accessing or having access to the power structures. Now, how all these things are getting impacted? Now, green revolution also witnessed the emergence of different kind of pressure groups, different kind of interest groups. Now, because of green revolution, agriculture is now getting integrated with the market. Previously, agriculture was about reciprocal relations. The money system was there. The relationship between Jajmans and Kamins. Reciprocal relation was there. But now you are getting linked with the market. So gradually, there was development of class interest. You remember what Weber had said? What was class according to Weber? So basically, classes exist wherever there is a market economy. The same thing is happening here. So class interests are being developed in agriculture. No longer it is a reciprocal relation. There is initiation of demand politics in agriculture now. What is this demand politics? Green revolution required different kind of inputs. You require high yield variety seeds, a specific kind of seeds. You require better fertilizer. You require water. You require electricity. You require pesticides. All these interventions are very, very important if your farming practices, they have to be successful. So it is also leading to the initiation of demand politics. Now some groups, especially these big farmers, the larger farmers, they are now becoming successful. Now they are demanding all these things. We require subsidies along all these lines. And it was realized that if you do not have subsidies, you might not get the benefits. Paul Bass in his studies says that farmers are realizing that till the point of time they're getting the benefits, they will be successful. Till the point of time they're getting the subsidies, they will benefit. Or else they will not be successful. So it is leading to political aspirations among the people. One more thing, at this juncture, some of these people who are in the farming sector, who are the cultivators, they're also getting benefit. They are having more money now. Now, if you are having money, you can utilize it for political population. So affluence is also leading to political population, but not everyone who has money who is affluent will join politics. So affluence as well as these requirements, what kind of requirements? These kind of subsidies, all these things are coming together, and it is leading to emergence of different pressure groups. It is also leading to emergence of different kind of regional political elites. People are now participating in the political structures. So the farmers are now developing different kind of powerful lobbies. Cooperatives are also being developed, but in these cooperatives also the dominant farmers, they are hijacking the agenda. Now just think like this: in green revolution, one thing is happening is you are creating some rich farmers who have now resources at their disposal which can be used for politics. Second thing, because of green revolution, there will be bumper harvest. Now, if there is bumper harvest, the price of the product will go down. The prices can crash. So now you also have to control the prices. That is important. And for production, you require different kind of inputs. For that, you require subsidy. So farmers now, they are realizing that they should be able to decide the prices of these inputs. They should also be able to decide the prices of the final products. That is the reason there is political aspiration. They want to be part of these structures who are going to decide these things. That is the reason there is emergence of interest group. It is also the reason why there is emergence of different politicians among these groups who got benefited because of green revolution. If you look at 60s, 70s, 80s, you see emergence of many politicians who had farming background. Also, you observe that among the cooperatives, you find domination of these kind of farmers. So this is how politics is getting impacted because of green revolution. The cropping patterns, they're also changing as a result of green revolution. We are now focusing on wet cultivation, wherever irrigation has been developed. So shift from dry to wet cultivation, from multi-crop cultivation to monocrop cultivation. That was also a shift. But whenever you are going for these kind of shifts, you should be aware that there can be risks. Now, previously, if the one particular crop failed, you have basically hedge yours. You can basically rely on the other crops that you have cultivated. Now, if only one crop you are cultivating and this crop failure, it's a huge risk. The type of crops that you're cultivating, that is also changing. You are now cultivating cash crops. There has been a shift from food crops to cash crops. Not that only cash crops are there, but there was a marked change. Now farmers are dependent on markets for their income. See, previously, if you are, let's say, cultivating food crops, so whatever you are cultivating, from that you also can ensure your sustenance, your own subsistence. But now let's say if you have only cultivated the cash crops, so you are now dependent on the markets. Whatever money you will get from the markets, from that you will purchase things which is required for your own sustenance. So you are now more dependent on the market. Apart from that, another thing, even if you are producing food grains, then also you are dependent on the market. Why? See, now for agriculture, you are dependent on different kind of inputs. Now these inputs, they come at a price. So you might have taken a loan to procure these inputs. You are first focusing on repaying the loan, or else you might have to pay the interest. So you first repay the loan. Whatever you have produced, you are basically selling it so that you will have some amount of money. So when you are selling it, now the same amount of money you will be utilizing for purchasing your things that you are required for your own sustenance. So now also you are, even if you are producing food grains, you are depending on the markets. You have to sell it so that you are able to pay back the loan which you have taken for purchasing the inputs. Green revolution is also leading to different kind of regional inequalities. The difference between the areas which are dry, the areas which are irrigated. So the irrigated areas, they had more benefits. There was also an increase in conflicts post Green Revolution. See, before Green Revolution, we went for land reforms. Now, land reforms were also not successful throughout the country. So land reforms were not completely successful. They were not properly implemented. Now, people are also witnessing the fact that Green Revolution is also not giving them equal benefits. So farmers at different places who are not getting the benefits, they are now becoming more and more extractive. It is leading to different kind of agrarian movements in this period, 70s, 80s. So not failure of land reforms or not complete successful implementation of land reforms, unequal benefits of Green Revolution leading to agrarian unrest. What about cooperatives? Now, see, the kind of inputs that you require for Green Revolution, they're expensive. For example, seeds and other things, they're expensive. So one mechanism that was thought about was, why not promote cooperatives in agriculture? One particular farmer might find it difficult to procure these seeds. But if you are having cooperatives, then you can procure all these things in bulk. You will also have a greater bargaining power. And when you're procuring things in bulk, you might also get some benefits, some discounts, some rebates can be there. So you are all going for cooperatives now. So different kind of cooperatives, fertilizer cooperatives, seed cooperatives, credit cooperatives, irrigation cooperatives, all these things are coming up to get the benefits of economy of scale. For example, how can you have an irrigation cooperative? Now, certain kind of irrigation mechanism, certain kind of machinery for irrigation, lift irrigation. One particular farmer might find it difficult to purchase it. But if multiple farmers come together, they can purchase it. And they can use it for irrigating their own fields. Similarly, fertilizer cooperative. Multiple farmers, they can come together and they can procure fertilizer in bulk, they will get the benefits. So all these things were taken up. But what was the outcome? It was observed that the outcome of all these things, it was not equal. Here also, the upper classes, they are getting the benefits. For example, there was a study of the seed cooperatives in Haryana. So you are procuring seeds in bulk. Now, it was observed that here also, the rich farmers are dominating, the poor farmers are not getting the benefits. The marginal small farmers are not getting the benefit. The rich farmers, they're taking the good quality seeds. The marginal small farmers, they're not getting they're getting the inferior seeds. So already there's a difference, class difference is there. Now, the rich farmers, they're getting the benefits of good quality seeds, superior seeds. The poor farmers, they will not have a good produce because they have the inferior seeds. So the difference between the rich farmer and the poor farmer is increasing further. So the upper classes, they're getting benefited, the poor farmers, they're getting lost in the process. Scarlett Epstein studied Karnataka, the agrarian reforms in Karnataka, agricultural sector in Karnataka. She finds out that there is an excess between caste, class, and power. And she finds out that those who are the higher classes, they are getting the benefit. For example, lift irrigation. So they will have cooperatives, but what will happen is generally these irrigation facilities will be benefiting the high class. So this lift irrigation facility will be at the center of the farms of the rich farmers. They will build these occupation walls, and the water will not go to the poor farmers. So that way, not everyone got equal benefits. Seed cooperatives of Haryana is also a testimony of the fact that the rich farmers got the better quality seeds, they're getting the benefits, the poor farmers are not getting the benefits. What about the mode of production? Whether it is changing, whether we are moving from the feudalistic mode of production to capitalistic mode, or whether it remains as feudal, or whether country transition has happened, or whether there is some sort of intermediary phase. Don't worry, we will be discussing the mode of production in details as well. One subtopic is there, the change in the mode of production in agriculture. There we will be discussing in details. But if you look at it, what kind of change was there, whether it is capitalistic or whether it is semi-feudal in nature. Now, previously, it was dominated by these zamindars and these people. But now also, you find that certain sections, the moneylenders, these people, they are the ones dominating. Peasants and laborers, they are tied towards them. And whatever structures that you have, they have not changed drastically. They have remained more or less stagnant. And the agrarian structures, they're quite exploitative in nature. But it is not that everywhere it is the same thing. These exploitative structures, it is not that everywhere they were the same. There used to be regional variations, local specificities. In fact, some thinkers, they have said that India has multiple modes of production. For example, places like Haryana, Punjab, they have capitalistic mode. Places like Gujarat, they have semi-capitalistic mode. Places like Odisha, West Bengal, they have semi-feudal modes. Places like Bihar, they have feudal setup. So different places in India, you will find different modes. Not complete transition towards capitalistic mode of production. But it is said that we are moving in the direction of capitalistic mode of production. In future, it might so happen that we become capitalistic in nature when it comes to agriculture. But capitalistic mode in the Western countries had given them benefits. It has given them very good returns in agriculture. It has made agriculture quite certain. But in case of India, even if we are moving towards this capitalistic mode, there are some challenges. Agriculture is becoming very expensive, and returns from agriculture might be uncertain. Those challenges do exist. Cost of agriculture, the risks associated with agriculture, they have not decreased significantly. Now, what is the impact on our traditional knowledge? See, India is more for its traditional knowledge. We might be having our own traditional practices of cultivation. We might be having our own traditional variety of seeds. But because of advent of green revolution, these traditional seeds, traditional knowledge, they are also at a risk. They were replaced by these hybrid high-yield variety seeds. Now, these hybrid high-yield variety seeds, they were being promoted as scientific, technological innovations. But in some cases, these traditional varieties, traditional knowledge might also be more utilitarian in nature. Whatever be the case, there has been a massive attack on our traditional knowledge. What was the impact on our environment, on our ecology? Now, because of sometimes over exploitation of the resources that we have at our disposal, multiple consequences, multiple impacts on our ecology has also been there. For example, there has been excessive water usage. Now, when you are going for excessive water usage, it can impact the water table over there. The water table has gone down. It can also impact the soil. The composition of the soil also gets impacted if you are using extra water. The soil balance that is there can get impacted. Excessive use of fertilizers has been there. So it is also impacting the quality of the soil. It is impacting the sustainability of the agriculture in the long run. Soil is becoming saline. Soil is becoming alkaline in nature. In some cases, you also observe water salinity. And also, because of excessive use of fertilizers, excessive use of pesticides, insecticides specifically, pesticides, insecticides, they have impacted our birds, insects. They are also getting impacted in the process. It can also have impact on the biodiversity because insects and birds, they also play a very important role in pollination. Now, if insects and birds we are losing out, then pollination, fertilization, all these things will get impacted. So massive impact on our ecology. And different studies have pointed the same. Studies in places like Punjab, Haryana, they've pointed it out. In some places, there have been prevalence of certain diseases like cancer because of the ecological impact. Now, what is the gender impact of green revolution? Utsa Patnaik, JNU professor, she finds out that women are negatively impacted as a consequence of different developments in the field of green revolution. Whenever the production is for subsistence, just for your subsistence, you are not having anything extra. But because of green revolution, the agricultural production is increasing. Now you have more incomes at your disposal. So in such a scenario, in a patriarchal setup, women are withdrawn. Previously, they did not have sufficient, so they had both men and women had to work together in the field. But now, since they are having sufficient for the household, the women are withdrawn. So whenever there is income beyond the consumption level, this is the case. Also, since women are withdrawn, the entire economy will be dominated by men. So men will be dominating the different structures of the economy. There will be glorification of these gender roles, and indirectly the patriarchy will get strengthened because when men are the ones who are dominating each other's sphere. So it also indirectly leads to the strengthening of Khap panchayats, those kangaroo courts, which are the caste panchayats, the caste councils, which have been declared extra constitutional by the Supreme Court, but they become strong in these areas. Which are these areas? Places like Haryana and these places. Also, now people have more incomes at their disposal. The society is patriarchal, and there is glorification of the males. As a consequence, it can also lead to selective abortion. Society is patriarchal in nature, and people now have money at their disposal, by which they can use this money for availing different technologies for carrying out sex-selective abortion. Ashish Bose also has found the same thing. He also finds that in these areas, there is a preference for male child. Nivedita Menon says that there is increase in feminization of poverty. What do we mean by feminization of poverty? That means poverty is sexist. Not everyone is equally poor. Women are poorer as compared to their male counterparts. So that is feminization of poverty. If you look at a population of 100, you will find that in that 100, you will find more female who are poor as compared to males. So 100 poor people, among them, it is said that around 70 will be female poor. That is the meaning of feminization of poverty. So Nivedita Menon is saying that green revolution is also leading to feminization of poverty. It is also leading to intensification of patriarchy. And the demographic divide that exists, that is also increasing. What about wages? What is the impact on wages? Now, because of better production, there is also greater demand for laborers. Now, when there is a greater demand for laborers, the wages are also increased. Also, there is a change in the mode of payment. Now you are using cash. Cash is the most preferred mode of payment. But the problem here is wages increasing, but the economic condition of the people is not increasing. What is the reason? Now, wages have increased, but at the same time, prices have also increased. And payment and all these things is in the mode of cash. Previously, maybe you are paying someone in kind. So you are somehow hedged from the impact of inflation. But now you are paid in cash. Inflation is there. What is inflation? Inflation is nothing but the value of money. The value of the money is decreasing. So overall, the condition of people is not improving, rather it might be worsening. Agriculture is not sustainable anymore. Vandana Shiva is saying that agriculture is now being driven by private interest. It is driven by the interest of different multinational corporations. So it is becoming more and more costly. It is becoming unsustainable. Vandana Shiva is a prominent eco-feminist. But there are some people who also looked at it from a positive perspective. They found out many positive angles in green revolution. For example, Hanuman Rao and Woldmack. They look at the positive dimensions of green revolution. They are saying that green revolution is leading to improvement in food security situation. It is leading to increase in direct and indirect employment. Job creation is there. It is creating rural to rural migration. So rural to urban migration might be checked. So it is ensuring that the cities are not choked. So basically, demand of resources in the cities that we are trying to manage. It is also ensuring that we are food self-sufficient. So our dependency on other countries for our nutrition purposes, our food security purposes, that is reduced now. Our dependence on foreign countries is being reduced. Also, if you look at it, before 1947, there were so many famines in our country. At different points of time, we have had scarcity of foods. But all these things we don't see in the present scenario. So we are food secure and we have not witnessed these kind of incidents. T.K. Omen, he also says that green revolution has given a boost to rural employment. Rural poverty has been tackled. We have become a food sufficient nation. We are no longer having food deficits. And see, whenever there is change in one sector, it also percolates to other areas. Change in agricultural sector is also benefiting other sectors. So not just agriculture is getting benefited, other areas, industries, and other sector, they are also getting benefited as a sector. So this is a positive outlook by both Hanuman Rao and Omen. Also, World Bank has faced it. Now, so we looked at some of the positive impacts, specifically the economic impacts. Also, we looked at the social impacts. But there is still so much to do. We have not been able to completely ensure upliftment of the agrarian sector. Now, also we are facing these agrarian crises. So after green revolution, also the government did not stop. We had multiple different kind of initiatives. So we'll just look at some of the initiatives which were taken up post green revolution. We did not stop with green revolution. So what were some of the major initiatives? Now, when we introduced green revolution, we had focused on certain pockets, which the areas which were very good when it comes to irrigation facilities. Now we are shifting our focus to other areas as well. For example, agricultural development in eastern states. That is a focus. So we are having schemes like bringing green revolution to East India. Then previously, green revolution focused on wetland agriculture. Now we are also focusing on rain-fed and unirrigated agricultural regions. There is now greater involvement in R&D, storage, marketing, processing, all these kind of things are being focused on. Certain areas, you also observe that you have to ensure holistic development in these areas. Only tackling agriculture might not solve the problem. You have to look at other dimensions in these areas as well. So we are also focusing on conservation, rejuvenation, and management of natural resources in this area, apart from agricultural development. So for total area development, we're focusing on. We're trying to attract corporate investment in agriculture. Different kind of missions have been set up. For example, National Bamboo Mission, Horticulture Mission, Oilseed Mission. So they're trying to attract corporate investment in agriculture. Institutional credit has increased to small and marginal farmers so that they're able to purchase land and other equipments. Land markets, liberation of land lease market has taken up. Direct marketing of agriculture products so that the role of intermediaries can be reduced. We're trying to amend the APMC Act. So some initiatives post Green Revolution. Apart from this, we have also ushered in revolution in some other areas as well. For example, White Revolution was taken up. We are becoming self-sufficient when it comes to dairy production. It is also called as Operation Flood. Pink Revolution, meat products, revolution in that sector. We're also developing our own technologies. For example, we are focusing on agroecology, SRI, system of rice intensification. And we are also focusing on dryland farming. ICRISAT. Different ICRISAT labs, they are now trying to improve dryland farming in India. A large part of India needs this thing, needs intervention. So these are all such interventions post Green Revolution. The results of Green Revolution, initially they were really good. We ensured that we are a food secure nation. We are becoming a net exporter of rice. But over a period of time, we are observing that there are different social impacts. There were multiple unintended consequences, many negative consequences. So now some more things have been taken up, and these are the things. So this sums up our discussion on Green Revolution. So in this topic, we discussed what is the meaning of Green Revolution, how we were inspired for Green Revolution, what is the background to that. Now, what was the philosophy of Green Revolution? You are trying to bring rapid change, but you are avoiding the social cost which is generally associated with these massive upheavals. Then, what was the economic impact of Green Revolution? What was the social consequence of Green Revolution along multiple dimensions? And some of the recent initiatives. So, this is about Green Revolution, a very important component of rural agrarian transformation in India. Thank you.